Arriving at the airport, I followed the signs to the security check area. I had to take off my shoes and put my bags through a scanner. The security officer checked my passport and boarding pass before letting me through. After that, I found my departure gate and waited for my flight to be called. Luckily, the plane boarded on time and I found my assigned seat. I put my carry-on bag in the overhead compartment and fastened my seatbelt.
After landing at the airport, I went to the baggage claim area to collect my luggage. I found my suitcase quickly and it was in good condition. Then, I proceeded to go through customs. The customs process was smooth and there were no issues. The officers checked my passport and asked a few questions about the purpose of my visit. Once I passed through customs, I headed towards the exit and looked for a taxi to take me to the hotel. At the hotel, I checked in at the front desk. The staff was friendly and helpful. They gave me my room key and provided me with information about the hotel amenities. I took the elevator to my room and settled in for a comfortable stay.
With my luggage in hand, I walked out of the airport and made my way to the taxi stand. It was easy to find a taxi and the driver was friendly. I told him the name of the hotel I was staying at and he started the meter. The ride was smooth and I enjoyed looking out the window at the city. After a short while, we arrived at the hotel. I paid the fare and thanked the driver before getting out of the taxi. The hotel staff greeted me warmly and helped me with my luggage. They checked me in quickly and gave me a key to my room. The room was clean and comfortable, with a nice view of the city. I unpacked my things and settled in for the night. Overall, it was a smooth and pleasant experience at both the airport and the hotel.
At the airport, I went through security and boarded the plane on time. During the flight attendants were friendly and served snacks and drinks. When we arrived at our destination, I collected my luggage and headed to the hotel. At the hotel, I went to the reception desk and checked in smoothly. The staff was helpful and gave me my room key. I went up to my room and found it clean and comfortable. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was pleasant and efficient.
During my recent trip, I had a pleasant experience at the airport. The staff were friendly and helpful, guiding me through the check-in process and answering all my questions. After a smooth flight, I arrived at my hotel. The receptionist greeted me warmly and efficiently checked me in. I was delighted to find that my hotel room was clean and comfortable, with a cozy bed and all the necessary amenities. The room provided a relaxing environment for my stay. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was positive and contributed to a great start to my trip.
During my trip, I found myself in need of information about local attractions. I decided to approach the hotel concierge for assistance. The concierge was very helpful and provided me with several suggestions for things to do and places to visit in the area. I appreciated the concierge's knowledge and expertise, as it helped me plan out my itinerary for the day. Overall, the interaction with the concierge was positive and I felt well informed about the local attractions thanks to their assistance.
I woke up early and went down to the hotel's dining area for breakfast. They had a delicious buffet with many different options to choose from. I enjoyed a hearty meal and filled up my plate with fruits, eggs, bacon, and toast. The staff at the hotel were friendly and welcoming, and the atmosphere in the dining area was nice and relaxed. After breakfast, I felt energized and ready to start my day.
During my recent trip, I arrived at the airport and went through the security check. After collecting my luggage, I followed the signs to the taxi stand and managed to find a taxi easily. The taxi driver was friendly and drove me to the hotel. Upon arrival, I proceeded to the reception desk and asked for directions to the nearest subway station. The receptionist kindly provided me with clear instructions and a map. Following the directions given, I walked to the subway station and found it without any difficulty.
During my trip, I realized that I forgot to bring my phone charger. Feeling worried, I decided to ask the hotel staff if they had a charger that I could borrow. I approached the front desk and explained the situation. The staff member kindly offered to check if they had a spare charger available. After a few minutes, they returned with a charger and handed it to me. Grateful for their help, I thanked them and expressed my relief. With the borrowed charger, I was able to charge my phone and continue with my trip without any further issues.
After a tiring day, I decided to order room service for dinner. I called the hotel's restaurant and placed my order. Shortly after, a hotel staff member delivered the meal to my room. The food was delicious and satisfying. I enjoyed eating in the comfort of my hotel room, without needing to leave or find a restaurant. It was a convenient and enjoyable experience.
Checking out of the hotel, I went to the front desk to settle the bill. The staff was friendly and efficient. They presented me with the final amount and I paid using my credit card. I thanked them for their hospitality and mentioned that I had enjoyed my stay. They wished me a safe journey and handed me a receipt. After that, I gathered my belongings and headed towards the exit. I felt satisfied with the service provided by the hotel staff during my stay.
Arriving back at the airport, I walked inside and found a sign that pointed to the Wi-Fi area. I followed the sign and reached the designated spot where I logged into the airport's Wi-Fi using my phone. Once connected, I opened my email app and checked my inbox. There were a few new emails waiting for me, so I quickly read through them to see if there was anything important. After finishing with my emails, I logged out of the Wi-Fi and continued on to the hotel.
My flight was delayed, so I used my extra time at the airport to look around the duty-free shops. I looked at different items such as perfumes, chocolates, and clothes. I also bought some souvenirs to bring back home. The shops had a variety of options to choose from, and I enjoyed exploring the different products. I took my time and compared prices before making my purchases. It was a nice way to pass the time while waiting for my flight.
During my flight, the flight attendants came around and served everyone a meal and beverages. It was a pleasant surprise, as I didn't expect to get any food. They offered a choice between chicken or pasta, and I opted for the chicken. The meal was quite tasty, and it came with a side salad, a roll, and a small dessert. Along with the meal, they also provided us with a selection of beverages, including water, juice, and soda. It was nice to have something to eat and drink, as it made the flight more comfortable and enjoyable.
During the flight, I took a nap and woke up just in time for the descent. As we landed, I felt a slight turbulence, but it wasn't too uncomfortable. Once we arrived at the airport, I followed the signs to the immigration section. The line was quite long, but it moved quickly. The immigration officer checked my passport and asked me a few questions before stamping it. After that, I collected my luggage from the carousel and proceeded to the taxi stand. I took a taxi to my hotel, which was conveniently located near the airport. The check-in process at the hotel was smooth, and the receptionist gave me a key to my room. The room was clean and spacious, with a comfortable bed. Overall, it was a seamless experience at both the airport and the hotel.
As we landed at the airport, the captain made an announcement about the local weather conditions and the current time. I followed the signs to the immigration area where I lined up and handed over my passport and arrival card. After going through the immigration process, I retrieved my luggage from the baggage carousel and proceeded to the customs area. The customs officer asked if I had anything to declare, and I replied that I didn't. Once I cleared customs, I exited the airport and hailed a taxi to take me to my hotel. At the hotel, I approached the front desk and presented my identification. The receptionist checked me in and gave me a keycard to access my room. The room was clean and comfortable with a nice view of the city. I unpacked my belongings and settled in for the duration of my stay.
Disembarking the plane, I followed the signs and made my way to the baggage claim area. Once there, I waited for my suitcase to come out on the conveyor belt. After retrieving my luggage, I proceeded to the customs area, where I presented my passport and answered a few questions. Once through customs, I headed towards the exit and looked for a taxi. I found a taxi stand outside the airport and got into a taxi. I told the driver the name of my hotel, and he drove me there. At the hotel, I checked in at the front desk, providing my passport and filling out some forms. The receptionist gave me a key card and directed me to my room. I took the elevator to my floor, found my room, and entered. The room was clean and spacious, with a comfortable bed and a TV. I settled in and unpacked my belongings. Overall, the process at the airport and hotel went smoothly and I was ready to start my trip.
When I arrived at the airport, I realized that my luggage was missing. I felt worried and went to the airline's lost and found desk to report the situation. I explained to the staff that my luggage was not on the conveyor belt and provided them with a description of it. They asked me to fill out a form with my contact information and details about the missing luggage. Afterward, they assured me that they would do their best to locate it and update me as soon as they had any information. I thanked them for their assistance and left the airport feeling hopeful that my luggage would be found soon.
Leaving the airport, I hailed a taxi and gave the driver directions to the hotel I had booked. The driver understood my directions and started driving towards the hotel. Along the way, I noticed various buildings and landmarks in the city. After a short drive, we arrived at the hotel. The hotel staff greeted me warmly and checked me in. They provided me with a key card to access my room. I went up to my room and found it clean and comfortable. The bed was neatly made, and there were fresh towels in the bathroom. I unpacked my belongings and settled in for the night.
Upon arriving at the airport, I collected my luggage and went through customs. Then, I made my way to the hotel. As I entered the hotel lobby, I was greeted by friendly staff members who welcomed me with a smile. They offered me a delicious and refreshing drink, which was a pleasant surprise. The check-in process was quick and efficient. The staff provided me with a key card and directed me to my room. The room was clean and comfortable, with modern amenities. I was happy with the overall experience at the hotel.
Upon arriving at the airport, I collected my luggage and proceeded to hail a taxi. The taxi driver was friendly and helped me load my bags into the trunk. As we drove to the hotel, I admired the bustling cityscape and took note of the landmarks along the way. Arriving at the hotel, I entered the lobby and was warmly greeted by the receptionist. Checking in was a smooth process as I provided my identification and credit card. The receptionist handed me my room key and directed me to the elevator. I made my way to the designated floor and located my room. Stepping inside, I immediately noticed the cozy atmosphere and well-lit space. The bed looked inviting and I couldn't resist testing its comfort. To my delight, it was incredibly comfortable, providing the perfect place to rest after a long journey. The room was also well equipped with a television, mini fridge, and coffee maker. I appreciated the attention to detail and felt confident that my stay would be enjoyable.
During my trip, I decided to explore the city. I went to the hotel reception and asked for a map and some recommendations on popular sites. The receptionist was very helpful and provided me with a detailed map of the city. They also gave me a list of popular attractions and landmarks to visit. With the map and recommendations in hand, I was ready to start my adventure in the city.
For dinner, I decided to try the hotel's restaurant. I went downstairs and found the restaurant easily. The restaurant had a nice ambience with soft lighting and comfortable seating. The staff greeted me warmly and showed me to a table. The menu had a variety of options to choose from. I decided to try a local dish recommended by the waiter. The meal arrived promptly and it looked appetizing. The food was flavorful and cooked to perfection. I thoroughly enjoyed every bite of the meal. The service was excellent as the staff was attentive and friendly. Overall, it was a great dining experience at the hotel's restaurant.
During my recent trip, I needed to get some work done. Luckily, the hotel I was staying at had a business center with computers and printers available for guests to use. I headed down to the business center and found it to be quiet and well equipped. There were several computers lined up on desks, each with a comfortable chair and a small desk lamp. The computers were modern and had all the necessary software installed. I was able to easily log in using a guest account provided by the hotel. The internet connection was fast and reliable, allowing me to quickly browse the web and access my email. Additionally, there were printers available for printing documents. The printers were located near the computers and had clear instructions on how to use them. I printed out the documents I needed without any issues. The business center was a convenient and efficient space for getting work done during my stay at the hotel.
During my trip, I found myself in need of clean clothes. Luckily, the hotel I was staying at had a laundry service available. I decided to take advantage of it and was pleasantly surprised by how prompt and efficient the service was. I dropped off my clothes at the designated area in the hotel and provided the necessary details to have them laundered. The staff assured me that they would be ready by the following day. True to their word, the next day I received a message notifying me that my clothes were clean and ready for pickup. I went to the designated area and found my clothes neatly folded and packaged. The hotel's laundry service had done an excellent job, leaving my clothes fresh and clean. This experience made my stay at the hotel even more enjoyable, knowing that I could rely on their efficient laundry service whenever needed.
I checked out of the hotel and asked for help with arranging transportation to the airport. The staff at the hotel were very helpful and called a taxi for me. The taxi arrived promptly and the driver helped me with my luggage. We drove to the airport and the driver dropped me off at the departure area. I thanked the driver and went inside the airport.
Upon reaching the airport, I went straight to the check-in counter and received my boarding pass. The staff at the counter asked for my passport and checked my luggage. Once everything was confirmed, they gave me my boarding pass and directed me towards the security checkpoint. I followed their instructions and went through the security procedures. After that, I proceeded to the gate mentioned on my boarding pass and waited for my flight to be called. Once it was time for boarding, I presented my boarding pass to the airline staff and boarded the plane. At the hotel, I approached the reception desk and provided them with my identification. They checked their records and handed me a room key. They also provided me with information about the hotel amenities and facilities, as well as the breakfast timings. I thanked them and headed towards my room. The room was clean and comfortable, with all the necessary amenities. I settled in, unpacked my belongings, and prepared for a restful night's sleep.
Going through security at the airport was a smooth process for me. I followed all the guidelines and had no issues with my carry-on luggage. I placed my bag on the conveyor belt, along with my jacket and shoes, and walked through the metal detector without any problems. The airport security staff was friendly and professional. After collecting my belongings, I proceeded to the gate area to wait for my flight. At the hotel, the check-in process was efficient. The receptionist greeted me with a smile and quickly handed me my room key. The room was clean and comfortable, with a cozy bed and a spacious bathroom. I unpacked my belongings and settled in for a restful night. Overall, my experience at both the airport and the hotel was pleasant and hassle-free.
Waiting at the departure gate, I found a comfortable seat and took out my phone. I noticed that the airport had free Wi-Fi, so I connected to it. It was great to be able to stay connected with my friends and family while waiting for my flight. I sent messages to let them know that I was at the airport and would be boarding soon. It was nice to have this option available to me, as it made me feel more connected and less anxious about being away from home.
Finally, it was time to board the plane and I found my seat easily in the allocated zone. The flight attendants were friendly and helped me with my carry-on luggage. Once seated, I fastened my seatbelt and listened to the safety instructions. The plane took off smoothly and the view from the window was breathtaking. After a few hours, we landed at my destination airport. I followed the signs to the baggage claim area and waited for my suitcase. Thankfully, it arrived without any delays. I then proceeded to the taxi stand and took a taxi to my hotel. The hotel staff greeted me warmly at the reception desk and checked me in quickly. They provided me with a keycard to access my room on the 5th floor. The room was clean and comfortable with a nice view of the city. I unpacked my belongings and freshened up before heading out to explore the area. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was smooth and pleasant.
During my recent trip, I had a pleasant experience at the airport and hotel. When I arrived at the airport, the flight attendants were very attentive. They made sure everyone had a comfortable journey by providing blankets and pillows. Once we landed, I went to the hotel and found the staff to be friendly and helpful. They gave me a warm welcome and quickly checked me into my room. The room was clean and well equipped with all the necessary amenities. Overall, both the airport and hotel made my experience enjoyable and hassle-free.
As we were getting ready to land, the flight attendants made an announcement for everyone to fasten their seatbelts. They told us that we were approaching our destination and would be landing soon. I made sure my seatbelt was securely fastened and prepared myself for the descent. The plane started to descend and I could feel a slight pressure in my ears. The flight attendants walked down the aisles to check if all the passengers had their seatbelts on. After a few minutes, the plane touched down smoothly and we could hear the sound of the wheels on the runway. We were then instructed to remain seated until the aircraft came to a complete stop. Once we were given the signal, everyone started gathering their belongings and preparing to disembark.
Disembarking the plane, I followed the signs to the immigration counter and went through passport control. I handed over my passport and visa to the immigration officer who checked them carefully. Once my documents were approved, I collected my luggage from the carousel and proceeded towards the exit. I hailed a taxi outside the airport and gave the driver the address of my hotel. Upon arriving at the hotel, I approached the reception desk and presented my identification. The receptionist quickly found my reservation and handed me the key to my room. I took the elevator to my floor and entered my comfortable room. The hotel staff was friendly and helpful, making my check-in process smooth and enjoyable.
After collecting my luggage, I walked towards the exit of the airport. Once outside, I waved my hand to get a taxi. The taxi driver stopped and I told him the name of the hotel I had made a reservation at. He nodded and opened the trunk for me to put my luggage in. I got into the taxi and we started driving towards the hotel. The journey was smooth and there was not much traffic. After around 20 minutes, we arrived at the hotel. I paid the fare, thanked the taxi driver, and got out of the taxi. I then went into the hotel to check in and start my stay.
Arriving at the hotel, I was greeted by friendly staff who quickly checked me in. They provided information about the hotel's facilities, such as the restaurant, gym, and swimming pool. The room was clean and comfortable, with a cozy bed and a spacious bathroom. The hotel also offered free Wi-Fi, which was convenient for staying connected. Overall, the staff was helpful and the hotel provided a pleasant experience for my stay.
Upon arriving at the airport, I went through security and boarded my flight. The flight was smooth and we landed safely at our destination. At the hotel, I checked in at the front desk and they gave me my room key. Upon entering my room, I noticed a stunning view from the window. The room was well furnished and had all the necessary amenities for a comfortable stay. I settled in and took some time to relax before heading out to explore the city.
During my trip, I needed to exchange currency. I decided to ask for help at the hotel reception. They kindly provided me with information and directed me to a nearby bank. I followed their directions and found the bank easily. At the bank, I approached the teller and explained that I wanted to exchange my currency. The teller assisted me and gave me the local currency in exchange for my own. I thanked them for their help and left the bank feeling relieved that I had successfully completed the currency exchange.
Feeling hungry, I decided to try the hotel's restaurant for a satisfying meal. The restaurant was located on the ground floor and had a cozy atmosphere. As I entered, I was greeted by a friendly host who showed me to my table. The menu had a variety of options to choose from, including vegetarian dishes and seafood. I decided to try the chef's special, which was a seafood pasta. The waiter took my order and within a few minutes, my food arrived. The presentation was impressive, and the aroma made my mouth water. The portion size was generous, and the flavors were delicious. The pasta was cooked perfectly, and the seafood was fresh and flavorful. I enjoyed every bite and was impressed with the quality of the food. The service was also excellent, with the waiter checking on me regularly to ensure I had everything I needed. Overall, it was a satisfying and enjoyable dining experience at the hotel's restaurant.
During my trip, I went to an airport to catch my flight. I arrived at the airport early and went through the security check. After that, I found my gate and waited for my flight to be called. Once it was time, I boarded the plane and found my seat. The flight was smooth and the flight attendants were helpful. When I arrived at my destination, I went to the hotel where I had reservations. The hotel staff welcomed me and checked me in quickly. I went up to my room and it was clean and comfortable. Later, I went down to the lobby and asked the concierge for advice on what to do in the city. They gave me a map and recommended some tourist attractions. I thanked them and decided to explore the city based on their suggestions. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was pleasant and the staff were helpful.
I was running late for my flight, so I quickly called the hotel reception for help. I asked for a wake-up call to make sure I wouldn't oversleep. I also needed assistance with getting a taxi to the airport. The receptionist was very helpful and assured me that they would take care of everything. I felt relieved knowing that I had someone to rely on in this stressful situation.
Returning to the hotel after a long day, I was grateful for the comfort of the bed and the peaceful atmosphere. I was exhausted and needed a good night's sleep. The bed was soft and cozy, inviting me to relax and unwind. The room was quiet, free from any disturbances that might disrupt my rest. I closed my eyes and drifted off into a deep sleep, knowing that I would wake up refreshed and ready for another day of exploring.
After packing my belongings, I checked out of the hotel. I paid all my remaining bills and made sure I didn't forget anything in the room. Then, I took a taxi to the airport. At the airport, I went to the check-in counter and presented my passport and ticket. The airline staff weighed my luggage and tagged it. After that, I went through the security checkpoint and had my bags scanned. I followed the signs to my departure gate and waited for my flight. Finally, it was time to board the plane and I found my seat. The flight attendants instructed us on the safety procedures, and soon we were taking off.
Arriving at the airport, I followed the signs for departure and went through the security check without any issues. I presented my passport and boarding pass to the security officer, who then scanned them. I placed my belongings, including my laptop and liquids, into a tray to go through the X-ray machine. After passing through the metal detector without setting it off, I collected my belongings and proceeded to the gate. The gate was easy to find as there were clear signs guiding me. I waited for my flight to be called, and once it was, I boarded the plane and found my seat without any trouble.
Upon landing at the airport, I followed the signs to the baggage claim area. I located my suitcase and gathered my belongings. After that, I proceeded to the customs area. The customs officer checked my passport and asked me a few questions about the purpose of my visit. I answered them honestly and provided the necessary documents. The officer stamped my passport and allowed me to enter the country. Feeling relieved, I made my way to the hotel. At the hotel reception, I approached the front desk and presented my identification. The receptionist greeted me with a warm smile and handed over the room key. They kindly explained the hotel amenities and the checkout time. I thanked them and headed towards my room.
Leaving the airport, I walked outside and found a taxi. I told the taxi driver the address of the hotel that I had booked. The driver nodded and started driving. The hotel was not far from the airport, so the ride was short. When we arrived at the hotel, I paid the taxi driver and thanked him. I grabbed my suitcase from the trunk and went inside the hotel. The hotel lobby was busy with people checking in and out. I approached the front desk and gave them my name. They found my reservation and gave me a key to my room. I took the elevator up to my floor and found my room. The room was clean and comfortable. I unpacked my suitcase and settled in.
Upon my arrival at the airport, I proceeded to the hotel shuttle pickup area. After a short wait, the shuttle arrived and took me to the hotel. At the hotel reception, the receptionist warmly greeted me and asked for my reservation details. I provided the necessary information, and the receptionist quickly found my booking. They handed me the key to my room and explained the hotel amenities and services available during my stay. With the key in hand, I headed to the elevators and made my way to my room.
Upon arriving at the airport, I quickly went through passport control and collected my luggage. I then proceeded to the hotel counter, where I checked in and received my room key. The hotel staff was friendly and helpful, providing me with directions to my room. As I entered the room, I noticed that it was clean and well maintained. The bed was neatly made, and there were fresh towels in the bathroom. The room had all the necessary amenities, including a television, a mini fridge, and a comfortable chair. I settled into the room and started unpacking my belongings. Overall, I was satisfied with the cleanliness and condition of the hotel room.
Upon arriving at the airport, I quickly went through the immigration process and collected my luggage. I followed the signs to the exit and noticed a row of taxis waiting outside. I approached one of the taxi drivers and showed him the address of my hotel. After a short drive, we arrived at the hotel. I walked into the lobby and saw the concierge desk. I approached the concierge, who greeted me with a friendly smile. I asked the concierge for information about local attractions and sightseeing options. The concierge was very knowledgeable and provided me with a map and brochures of popular tourist spots. They gave me detailed directions and even recommended some must-visit places. I thanked the concierge for their help and headed towards my room to rest after a long journey.
I woke up early and went to the hotel restaurant for breakfast. They had a buffet with a variety of delicious food. I enjoyed eating different types of breakfast foods like eggs, bacon, toast, and fruit. The restaurant was clean and the staff was friendly. After finishing my meal, I felt satisfied and ready for the day ahead.
During my recent trip, I arrived at the airport and went through immigration and customs. After collecting my luggage, I headed towards the hotel. The hotel was located nearby and I was able to easily find it. The hotel staff greeted me at the reception and checked me in. The room was clean and comfortable with all the necessary amenities. I unpacked my belongings and decided to explore the city. I realized that the hotel was conveniently located near major tourist spots. This made it easy for me to visit popular attractions without spending much time on transportation. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was hassle-free and convenient.
After a long flight, I arrived at the airport and went through the passport control. Then, I retrieved my luggage from the baggage claim area. Outside the airport, I hailed a taxi to take me to the hotel. Once at the hotel, I checked in at the reception desk. The receptionist gave me the key to my room and provided information about the hotel amenities. After settling into my room, I realized I was hungry and decided to order room service. I called the hotel's room service and placed my order. Shortly after, a staff member delivered the food to my door. I enjoyed my late-night snack in the comfort of my hotel room before getting a good night's sleep.
Checking out of the hotel, I packed my belongings and went to the front desk. I handed over my room key and thanked the staff for their hospitality. They were friendly and helpful throughout my stay. I had a pleasant experience at the hotel and would definitely consider staying here again in the future. I left the hotel with fond memories of my time there.
I arrived at the airport and followed the signs to the arrivals area. I saw a long line of people waiting to go through passport control. After my turn, the officer checked my passport and stamped it. Then, I collected my luggage from the conveyor belt and proceeded to the customs area. The customs officer asked me a few questions about the purpose of my visit and checked my bags. Finally, I exited the airport and looked for transportation to my hotel. I found a taxi stand and got into a taxi. The driver asked for the hotel address, and I showed it to him on my phone. The journey to the hotel was smooth and comfortable.
After clearing customs, I walked to the baggage claim area at the airport. I stood there patiently, watching the conveyor belt go round and round. I saw many suitcases and bags coming out, but none of them were mine. I kept waiting and checking the tags on each bag that passed by me. Finally, I spotted my suitcase. I grabbed it quickly and made my way towards the exit.
I arrived at the airport and went outside to find a taxi. I saw one nearby and signaled for it to stop. The taxi driver stopped and I got in. I told him the address of my hotel and he started driving. The ride was smooth and the driver followed the directions I gave him. After a while, we arrived at my hotel. I paid the fare and thanked the driver before getting out of the taxi.
I arrived at the airport and headed to the check-in counter to start my journey. The attendant asked for my passport and boarding pass, after which I proceeded to the security checkpoint. Once through, I made my way to the gate and waited for my flight to be called. After a few hours, I arrived at my destination and collected my luggage from the baggage claim area. I then hailed a taxi and gave the driver the address of my hotel. Upon arriving at the hotel, I walked into the lobby and approached the reception desk to check in. The receptionist asked for my identification and credit card before providing me with the key to my room. I took the elevator to my designated floor and found my room. It was clean and comfortable, with a bed, a desk, and a private bathroom. I settled in and prepared for a good night's sleep before starting my adventures the next day.
Upon arriving at the airport, I went through the security check and proceeded to the baggage claim area. After collecting my luggage, I hailed a taxi and gave the driver the address of the hotel. Upon reaching the hotel, I approached the reception desk and checked in. The receptionist handed me the key card to my room and informed me that it was located on the 8th floor. I thanked the receptionist and headed to the elevator. Once on the 8th floor, I found my room and used the key card to unlock the door.
I arrived at the airport and went through security. I found my gate and waited for my flight to be called. When it was time, I boarded the plane and found my seat. The flight was smooth and comfortable. After landing, I collected my luggage and headed to the hotel. The check-in process was quick and the staff was friendly. I entered my hotel room and unpacked my suitcase, making sure everything was in its place.
During my stay at the hotel, I decided to explore and see what amenities they had to offer. I was pleasantly surprised to find that they had a gym, pool, and a restaurant. The gym was well equipped with various exercise machines and weights, allowing guests to easily stay active during their stay. The pool was clean and inviting, perfect for a refreshing swim or just lounging by the water. As for the restaurant, it had a diverse menu offering a wide range of delicious dishes. It was a great convenience to have these amenities available within the hotel, providing additional options for relaxation and dining.
Feeling hungry, I headed to the hotel restaurant for dinner. Once there, I ordered a delicious meal from the menu. The waiter brought me a plate full of appetizing food. I enjoyed the taste of the different flavors and ingredients. The atmosphere in the restaurant was pleasant and inviting. The staff members were friendly and attentive, making sure I had everything I needed. After finishing my meal, I paid the bill and left the restaurant feeling satisfied and satisfied.
I arrived at the airport and went to the immigration counter. The officer checked my passport and stamped it. After that, I collected my luggage from the carousel and went through customs. I then hired a taxi and asked the driver to take me to the hotel. At the hotel, I went to the reception desk and checked in. The receptionist gave me the key to my room and told me about the hotel's facilities. I went up to my room and unpacked my belongings. Later in the evening, I wanted to make sure I wake up on time the next morning, so I called the reception desk and requested a wake-up call for 7 a.m.
After arriving at the airport, I went through immigration and collected my luggage. Then, I took a taxi to the hotel. Once at the hotel, I checked in at the reception desk and received my room key. The room was on the 5th floor. I entered the room and found a comfortable bed. Feeling tired from the travel, I quickly climbed into bed and fell asleep.
I woke up to the sound of my alarm and went down to the hotel restaurant for a hearty breakfast. I sat at a table by the window and ordered some freshly squeezed orange juice, scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, and a side of toast. The waiter also brought me a hot cup of coffee. I enjoyed my meal while watching people pass by on the street outside. The restaurant was busy, with other guests talking and laughing. The staff were friendly and attentive, making sure that I had everything I needed. After finishing my breakfast, I paid the bill at the cash register and left the restaurant feeling satisfied and ready to start my day.
I woke up feeling refreshed and ready for the day. I went to the bathroom and took a nice, refreshing shower. After that, I chose an outfit and got dressed. I made sure to pick something comfortable and suitable for the weather. Then, I checked my bag to make sure I had everything I needed for the day ahead. I double-checked to ensure I had my phone, wallet, and keys. Once I was certain I had everything, I felt prepared and ready to start my day.
It was time for me to check out of the hotel, so I headed to the reception desk. I approached the hotel staff and informed them that I needed to settle my bill and check out. They asked for my room number and handed me a form to fill out. I provided all the necessary details, such as my name and duration of my stay. The staff member then calculated the total amount I owed, including any additional charges. They informed me of the payment options, which included cash or card. I chose to pay with my credit card and handed it over to the staff member. They processed the payment and returned my card along with a receipt. Finally, they gave me back my keycard and wished me a pleasant day. I thanked them for their assistance and left the reception area, ready to begin the next leg of my journey.
I needed to catch my flight at the airport, so I decided to ask the hotel staff to call a taxi for me. They quickly made the call and let me know that the taxi would arrive soon. I gathered my luggage and went outside to wait for the taxi. After a few minutes, I saw a taxi pulling up to the hotel. I hopped in and told the driver my destination, the airport. The driver nodded and we started driving towards the airport. The ride was smooth and I could see the airport getting closer as we drove. Once we arrived, I paid the fare and thanked the driver for the ride. I grabbed my luggage and headed inside the airport to catch my flight.
I arrived at the airport and followed the signs to the departure area. I checked in my luggage and received my boarding pass. Then, I went through security where they checked my bags and scanned me. After that, I found my gate and waited for my flight to be called. Once it was, I boarded the plane and found my seat. The flight attendants gave the safety instructions and we took off. The flight was smooth and the view from the window was beautiful. After a few hours, we landed at the destination airport. I gathered my belongings and exited the plane. I followed the signs to the baggage claim where I waited for my suitcase to arrive. Finally, I grabbed my luggage and left the airport.
I was at the airport and I was lucky to find an empty overhead bin near my seat to stow my carry-on luggage. I was relieved because I didn't want to have to keep my bag under the seat in front of me. At the hotel, I went to the front desk to check in. The receptionist was friendly and gave me my room key. The room was clean and comfortable. I unpacked my bags and relaxed for a while before heading out to explore the city. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was pleasant and hassle-free.
I arrived at the airport and checked in at the counter. The security check was quick and I boarded the plane on time. Once inside, I found my seat and settled in. The plane taxied down the runway and smoothly took off into the sky. It was a bit nerve-wracking, but also exciting to see the ground getting smaller and smaller as we gained altitude. The flight attendants came around and offered drinks and snacks. I chose a water and a bag of peanuts. The journey was pleasant and the view from the window was breathtaking. After a few hours, we started our descent and the plane landed smoothly at my destination. I collected my luggage and proceeded towards the exit. At the hotel, I checked in at the reception desk and received my room key. The hotel staff was friendly and helped me with my bags. I went up to my room, unpacked, and rested for a while. Overall, it was a smooth journey and a comfortable start to my stay.
During the flight attendant made an announcement. They told us how long the flight would take and what the weather would be like at our destination. The announcement was clear and easy to understand. I listened carefully and made a mental note of the information. It was helpful to know how long the flight would be so I could plan accordingly. The weather information was also useful as it gave me an idea of what to expect when we landed. Overall, the in-flight announcement provided important details about the flight and destination.
During my flight, there was some turbulence, causing the plane to shake slightly. It made me feel a little nervous, but the pilot assured us that it was normal. After a while, the plane finally landed safely at the airport. Once I got off the plane, I went through immigration and collected my luggage. I then followed the signs to the hotel shuttle bus and took it to my hotel. The hotel staff greeted me warmly and helped me check in. They gave me a room key and directed me to my room. The room was clean and comfortable, with a nice view. I unpacked my belongings and rested for a while before going out to explore the city. Overall, despite the turbulence during the flight, my experience at the airport and hotel was smooth and pleasant.
The pilot came over the intercom and informed everyone that we would be starting our descent soon. I felt a little nervous but also excited to finally arrive at our destination. As we descended, I could feel the plane gradually descending and getting closer to the ground. Eventually, with a slight jolt, we touched down on the runway. I was relieved that the landing was smooth and without any turbulence. It was a great feeling to know that we had arrived safely at our destination.
I grabbed my bag from the overhead compartment and made my way to the exit. I followed the line of other passengers as we walked off the plane and into the airport. I showed my passport to the immigration officer and collected my checked luggage at the baggage claim area. Once I had all my belongings, I proceeded to the exit where I hailed a taxi to take me to my hotel. The hotel staff greeted me warmly and helped me check in. They handed me a room key and provided information about the amenities and services available. I entered my room, unpacked my bags, and settled in for my stay.
Upon arriving at the airport, I decided to take a taxi to the hotel. The taxi ride was smooth and efficient. Once I reached the hotel, I headed to the reception desk to check in. The receptionist greeted me warmly and asked for my passport and reservation details. I provided the necessary information and they quickly processed my check-in. They handed me my room key and provided me with directions to my room. I thanked the receptionist and made my way to the elevator. The hotel lobby was clean and well lit, creating a pleasant atmosphere. As I entered the room, I found it to be spacious and clean, with all the necessary amenities provided. The bed looked comfortable and inviting. Overall, the check-in process at the hotel went smoothly, and I felt welcomed and satisfied with the room.
Upon arriving at the hotel, I proceeded to the check-in counter. I politely asked the staff for a non-smoking room as I have allergies. The staff member was very understanding and accommodating. They quickly checked their system and assured me that they had a non-smoking room available. They provided me with the room key and gave me clear instructions on how to get to my room. I thanked them and headed to my assigned room.
Once I arrived at the hotel, I went to the reception desk to check in. The receptionist gave me my room key and directed me to the elevator. I found my room on the 5th floor and entered. The room was clean and spacious with a comfortable bed and a small sitting area. I quickly unpacked my suitcase and placed my clothes in the closet. After unpacking, I decided to take a moment to relax. I sat down on the bed and took a deep breath, enjoying the quietness of the room. It felt nice to finally be settled in, and I was looking forward to a restful night's sleep.
I decided to go for a walk and explore the nearby area. As I left the hotel, I noticed that the airport was just a short distance away. There were many taxis waiting outside, ready to take passengers to their destinations. I continued walking and came across a bustling street filled with shops and restaurants. There were clothing stores, souvenir shops, and even a bakery. The smell of freshly baked bread was enticing. I stopped at a restaurant to have some lunch and tried a local dish. The food was delicious and the service was friendly. After my meal, I continued my exploration and stumbled upon a local market. It was filled with fresh fruits, vegetables, and various local products. I couldn't resist buying some fresh fruits to enjoy later. As I walked back to the hotel, I felt satisfied with my adventure and excited to discover more about the area in the coming days.
During my stay at the hotel, I noticed that they had a lovely outdoor pool. Excited about the opportunity to swim, I quickly changed into my swimsuit and headed towards the pool. The pool was surrounded by several lounge chairs and umbrellas, creating a relaxing and inviting atmosphere. As I approached the pool, I noticed a lifeguard keeping a watchful eye over the area, ensuring everyone's safety. I dipped my toe in the water to check the temperature, and it felt just right. Without any hesitation, I took a deep breath and plunged into the refreshing water. It felt amazing as the water embraced my body, providing relief from the warmth of the sun. I swam joyfully, enjoying the sensation of the cool water against my skin. The pool was not too crowded, allowing me to comfortably navigate through the water. After some time, I decided to take a break and relax on one of the lounge chairs. I soaked up the sun's rays, feeling a sense of tranquility and contentment. The pool area was clean and well maintained, contributing to a pleasant and enjoyable experience. Overall, my swim at the hotel's outdoor pool was absolutely delightful.
I was feeling exhausted and didn't have the energy to go out for dinner. So, I decided to order room service at the hotel. I called the hotel's room service number and placed my order. The person on the other end of the line was very polite and took down my order accurately. They told me that my meal would arrive in about 30 minutes. True to their word, the room service staff knocked on my door exactly half an hour later. They had brought my dinner on a tray with a white tablecloth and neatly arranged cutlery. The food looked delicious and smelled amazing. I thanked the staff and they left me to enjoy my meal in the comfort of my room. The food was excellent and the portion size was just right. It was a great way to relax and unwind after a long day of traveling.
During my stay at the hotel, I realized that I needed some extra towels for my room. I decided to call housekeeping to request them. I explained that my friend would be joining me and we would both need towels. The person on the other end of the line was very understanding and assured me that they would bring the extra towels to my room right away. After waiting for a short while, there was a knock on my door. I answered it and a staff member from housekeeping handed me a stack of fresh, clean towels. I thanked them and they wished me a pleasant stay. I was relieved to have the extra towels, as it would make both mine and my friend's stay much more comfortable.
It was time for me to check out of the hotel, so I went to the reception desk. The staff greeted me politely and asked for my room number. They then handed me the bill for my stay. The bill listed the charges for the room, food, and any additional services I had used during my stay. I checked the bill carefully to make sure everything was correct. I then paid the bill using my credit card. The staff processed the payment quickly and gave me a receipt. I thanked them for their help and wished them a good day. With the bill settled, I collected my luggage and left the hotel.
I called a taxi to take me to the airport. The taxi arrived promptly and I got into it. The driver was friendly and asked me where I was going. I told him that I needed to go to the airport. He nodded and started driving. The ride was smooth and comfortable. I enjoyed looking out of the window and seeing the city pass by. The driver drove at a reasonable speed and followed all the traffic rules. We reached the airport in a timely manner. I paid the fare and thanked the driver for the pleasant ride. Then I got out of the taxi and headed towards the airport entrance.
At the airport, I went through the security check. I placed all of my belongings in the security trays, including my phone, wallet, and keys. Then, I followed the instructions given by the security personnel. I took off my jacket and put it in one of the trays, along with my carry-on bag. Next, I walked through the metal detector, making sure I didn't have any metal items on me. After that, I picked up my belongings from the trays and continued to the departure gate.
After going through the security check, I searched for a seat at the departure lounge. Finally, I found a comfortable seat and sat down. I took a deep breath and started to relax. The lounge was spacious and quiet. I looked around and saw other passengers waiting for their flights. Some were reading books, while others were using their phones. The atmosphere was calm and peaceful. I decided to take out my book and began reading. The time passed by slowly as I immersed myself in the story. It felt nice to have some time to myself before the flight. I enjoyed the quietness and the opportunity to unwind before the journey ahead.
I was at the airport waiting for my flight. Suddenly, I heard an announcement over the loudspeaker. The airline staff said that it was time for passengers to start boarding the plane. I quickly gathered my belongings and joined the line of people heading towards the boarding gates. The airport staff checked my boarding pass and passport before allowing me to board the plane. I found my seat and settled in for the journey ahead.
I arrived at the airport and joined the line to board the plane. Once it was my turn, I showed my ticket to the airline staff and walked through the gate. I followed the signs to find my seat and noticed that it was by the window. I placed my carry-on luggage in the overhead compartment and settled into my seat. The flight attendant made an announcement about the safety procedures and I listened attentively. The plane started moving and soon we were in the air, ready for my journey.
I placed my carry-on luggage in the overhead compartment, making sure it was securely stored. After that, I went to the hotel and checked in. The receptionist gave me a key for my room and explained the hotel facilities. I took the elevator to my floor and found my room easily. The room was clean and spacious with a comfortable bed. I unpacked my things and settled in for the night.
I recently had to fly somewhere and I arrived at the airport. The flight attendants on the plane showed us how to be safe in case of an emergency. They talked about where the emergency exits were and what to do if we needed to evacuate the plane. They also showed us how to put on the oxygen masks if they were needed. It was important information to know in case something happened during the flight.
I arrived at the airport and checked in for my flight. After going through security, I waited at the gate for my boarding time. Finally, it was time to board the plane. I found my seat and settled in. The flight attendants gave the safety instructions and soon the plane started taxiing down the runway. I felt a bit nervous as the plane gathered speed, but then it smoothly took off into the air. The view from the window was amazing as we ascended higher and higher. I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement for my journey ahead.
During my flight, the flight attendants provided us with a variety of snacks and drinks. They came around with a tray filled with different options, such as pretzels, cookies, and small sandwiches. They also offered beverages like water, soda, and juice. I chose a packet of pretzels and a cup of water. The snacks were tasty and the water was refreshing. It was nice to have something to munch on during the flight.
I looked out the window of the airplane and saw a stunning view. There were fluffy white clouds floating by, and I could see the vast landscape below. It was incredible to see mountains, rivers, and cities from such a high vantage point. The colors were so vibrant, with different shades of green, blue, and brown. I couldn't help but admire the beauty of nature from above.
During my flight, there was a period of turbulence which caused the plane to shake slightly. It was a bit unsettling, but the flight attendants assured us that it was normal and that there was no need to worry. Despite the turbulence, the pilot stayed calm and continued flying the plane smoothly. After a few minutes, the turbulence subsided and the remainder of the flight was smooth. It was a relief to finally land safely at the airport.
I arrived at the airport and boarded the plane. The flight was comfortable, and the plane landed smoothly. I could feel the tires gripping the runway as we touched down. After disembarking, I made my way through the airport and followed the signs to the hotel shuttle. The shuttle arrived promptly and took me to the hotel. At the hotel, I checked in at the front desk and received the key to my room. The staff was friendly and helpful. I went up to my room and settled in. The room was clean and cozy, with a comfortable bed. I unpacked my belongings and freshened up. Later, I went down to the hotel restaurant for dinner. The food was delicious and the service was excellent. After dinner, I went back to my room and had a restful night's sleep. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was smooth and enjoyable.
I collected my belongings and joined the line of passengers walking off the plane. We were directed to the immigration area where we had to show our passports and answer a few questions. After getting through immigration, I retrieved my luggage from the baggage claim area. I then proceeded to the customs area, where my bags were inspected. Once I cleared customs, I made my way to the exit of the airport. There, I found a taxi stand and hired a taxi to take me to my hotel. The driver helped me load my luggage into the trunk before we set off. The ride to the hotel was smooth and I enjoyed looking at the cityscape along the way. Upon arriving at the hotel, I paid the taxi fare and thanked the driver. I entered the hotel, checked in at the front desk, and received my room key. The hotel staff was friendly and provided me with information on the hotel's amenities and breakfast hours. With my key in hand, I took the elevator to my room and settled in for my stay.
I arrived at the airport and looked for the shuttle bus that would take me to my hotel. I found the shuttle stop and saw a bus with the hotel's logo on it. I boarded the bus and found a seat. The driver greeted me and asked for my destination. I told him the name of my hotel. The bus started moving and we drove through the city. I looked out the window and saw tall buildings, busy streets, and other buses passing by. After a while, we arrived at my hotel. I thanked the driver and got off the bus.
At the airport, I arrived at the check-in counter and gave my passport and ticket to the airline staff. They weighed my luggage and gave me a boarding pass. After going through security, I found my gate and waited for my flight. On the airplane, I listened to the safety instructions and fastened my seatbelt. After landing, I went through immigration and collected my luggage from the baggage claim area. At the hotel, I walked up to the reception desk and greeted the staff. I handed over my identification and reservation details. The staff checked their system and found my reservation. They gave me a form to fill out and asked for my credit card for incidentals. I signed the form and received my room key. The staff explained the hotel's amenities and told me how to find my room. I thanked them and went to my room.
Upon arrival at the hotel, I went straight to my room. I opened the door and entered a clean and spacious space. The room was well maintained and organized, with a comfortable bed, a desk, and a chair. I unpacked my suitcase and neatly arranged my clothes in the wardrobe. The bathroom was also clean, with fresh towels and toiletries provided. After unpacking, I made myself comfortable by sitting on the bed and exploring the room's amenities. The air conditioning was working perfectly, providing a cool and comfortable atmosphere. Overall, the room was inviting and provided a relaxing environment for me to settle in and unwind.
During my stay at the hotel, I decided to take some time to explore the facilities. To my surprise, I found out that there was a rooftop bar available. Curious to see what it had to offer, I made my way up there. As soon as I arrived, I was struck by the breathtaking view that stretched out before me. It was truly stunning. The bar area itself was nicely decorated, with comfortable seating and a relaxed ambiance. I decided to order a drink and enjoy the scenery. It was a great way to unwind and take in the beauty of the surroundings. I spent a good amount of time there, sipping on my drink and simply enjoying the moment. Overall, my experience at the rooftop bar was a pleasant one, and I was glad that I took the time to explore the hotel's facilities.
I decided to take a leisurely walk around the area near the hotel where I was staying. It was a beautiful day outside, so I wanted to explore and see what I could discover. As I walked, I noticed the bustling city streets filled with people going about their day. There were shops and cafes lining the sidewalks, and I could hear the sounds of cars honking in the distance. The buildings around me were tall and impressive, and I couldn't help but admire their architecture. I continued my stroll and came across a lovely park with lush greenery and colorful flowers. It was a peaceful oasis amidst the hustle and bustle of the city. I sat on a bench for a while, taking in the fresh air and enjoying the serenity. After a relaxing break, I continued my walk, passing by a local market where vendors were selling fresh fruits, vegetables, and other goods. The aroma of street food filled the air, tempting me to try some local delicacies. As I made my way back to the hotel, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the opportunity to explore this vibrant and diverse area. It was a simple walk, but it allowed me to appreciate the sights and sounds of the city, as well as discover hidden gems along the way.
Upon arriving at my destination, I headed to the airport to gather my luggage. After going through customs, I grabbed a taxi to my hotel. The ride was smooth and the driver was friendly. Once at the hotel, I checked in at the reception desk and received my room key. The room was clean and spacious with a comfortable bed. I unpacked my belongings and freshened up before heading out to explore the city. As it was dinner time, I decided to find a nearby restaurant to try the local cuisine. I stumbled upon a cozy spot that looked inviting and decided to give it a try. The staff greeted me warmly and handed me a menu. I perused the options and ordered a dish that caught my interest. The food arrived promptly and tasted delicious, giving me a glimpse into the flavors of the region. Satisfied with my meal, I paid the bill and thanked the staff for their hospitality. It was a pleasant experience that left me eager to continue my adventures in this new place.
The hotel I was staying at was close to the beach, so I decided to take a walk in the evening. The cool sea breeze felt refreshing as I walked along the shoreline. The sound of the waves crashing against the sand was soothing, creating a peaceful atmosphere. I admired the beautiful sunset as the sky turned various shades of orange and pink. There were other people enjoying the beach as well, some playing volleyball and others simply relaxing on the sand. As I continued my stroll, I noticed a few boats sailing in the distance, adding to the picturesque view. It was a calming experience, and I felt grateful to be able to enjoy such a lovely evening by the beach.
It was time to check out and head back to the airport for my return flight home. I packed my belongings and made sure I didn't forget anything. I called a taxi to take me to the airport. Once I arrived, I followed the signs to the check-in desks. I showed my passport and ticket to the staff and they gave me a boarding pass. I went through security and then walked to the gate listed on my boarding pass. The flight was on time and I boarded the plane. During the flight attendant served us food and drinks. After a few hours, we landed at my home airport. I collected my luggage from the baggage claim area and went through customs. Finally, my journey came to an end and I left the airport to head home.
I arrived at the airport but missed my flight due to heavy traffic. I was feeling panicked and unsure of what to do. I struggled to find the check-in counter, so I approached a staff member and asked for assistance. They kindly directed me to the correct counter. Once I checked in, I proceeded to go through security. Thankfully, the process was smooth and I encountered no issues.
During my trip, I had a long layover at the airport. I decided to make the most of my time by exploring the various shops in the airport. They had a wide range of options, from clothing stores to souvenir shops. After browsing around for a while, I started to feel hungry and went to a restaurant to have lunch. The menu had a variety of dishes, and I chose a delicious sandwich with a side of fries. Feeling satisfied, I decided to find a comfortable place to relax before my next flight. I discovered a lounge where I could unwind and recharge. The lounge had comfortable seating, free Wi-Fi, and complimentary snacks and drinks. I spent some time catching up on emails and enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. When it was time for my connecting flight, I made my way to the gate. Luckily, the flight was on time, and I boarded without any issues.
I arrived at the airport and went through the security check. I found my gate and waited for the boarding announcement. Finally, it was time to board the flight. I showed my boarding pass and got on the plane. However, once we were on the runway, the pilot announced that we would be delayed due to bad weather. The flight attendants asked us to remain in our seats and fasten our seat belts. I stayed patient and listened to the instructions from the crew. After a while, the pilot informed us that the weather had improved, and we were cleared for takeoff. The flight was smooth, and we landed safely at my destination.
I recently booked a hotel online for my trip. However, when I arrived at the hotel, they couldn't find my reservation. I was a bit worried, but I showed them my confirmation email to prove that I had indeed made a reservation. The hotel staff was very helpful and quickly resolved the issue. I was relieved that everything was sorted out so efficiently.
I arrived at the airport and went through the immigration process. After collecting my luggage, I hailed a taxi and asked the driver to take me to the hotel. The journey was smooth and I reached the hotel in no time. I went to the check-in counter and provided my identification. The staff gave me the key to my room. When I entered the room, I realized that it was not as I had expected. The room was smaller and lacked the amenities that were advertised. I immediately went down to the front desk and politely explained the situation to the staff. They were very understanding and apologized for the inconvenience. They quickly resolved the issue by upgrading me to a better room. I thanked them for their prompt assistance and went to my new room. The new room was spacious and had all the facilities I needed. I felt relieved and satisfied with the outcome.
I found a great deal for a hotel room online. I booked the room and arrived at the hotel. The hotel staff welcomed me and checked me in. I provided them with my reservation details. They looked up my reservation and confirmed the discounted rate that I had booked online. They didn't have any issues with honoring the discounted rate. I was relieved because sometimes hotels don't honor online discounts. The staff gave me the key to my room and directed me to the elevator. I went up to my room and found it clean and comfortable. The hotel had all the amenities that I needed for my stay. I was happy with the hotel's service and how they honored the discounted rate.
During my trip, I needed directions to a nearby attraction. I approached the receptionist at the hotel and asked for help. They were very friendly and provided me with a map. They took their time to explain the route and gave me clear instructions on how to get there. I felt grateful for their assistance and felt confident in finding the attraction.
During my recent trip, I noticed a problem with the bathroom in my hotel room. There was a leak in the faucet and water was dripping constantly. It was quite inconvenient and I knew I had to inform the hotel staff. I called the reception and explained the issue to them. They were very understanding and assured me that they would send someone to fix it right away. True to their word, a maintenance person arrived at my room within minutes. They quickly identified the issue and proceeded to repair the faucet. I was impressed with their prompt response and efficiency in resolving the problem. Once the repair was completed, they tested the faucet to make sure everything was working properly. I thanked them for their quick action and for resolving the issue in such a timely manner. Overall, I was satisfied with the hotel's responsiveness and their effort to address the problem promptly.
During my recent trip, I accidentally forgot my keycard in my hotel room. Realizing this, I immediately went to the front desk to seek assistance. The hotel staff was extremely helpful and understanding. I explained my situation and they quickly provided me with a replacement card without any hassle. I was relieved that they were able to resolve the issue efficiently. Their prompt service ensured that I could easily access my room again.
I recently checked out of a hotel and realized that I had forgotten my phone charger in the room. Panicking a bit, I decided to call the hotel to see if they could help me. Thankfully, the person I spoke to on the phone assured me that they would keep my charger safe until I could come back to pick it up. This made me feel relieved, knowing that I wouldn't have to worry about replacing it. I will make sure to go back and retrieve my charger soon.
I arrived at the airport early for my flight. I went to the check-in counter and it was a quick and easy process. After checking in, I had some extra time before boarding, so I decided to grab a coffee. I found a cafe near the gate and ordered a delicious cup of coffee. I enjoyed sipping my coffee and relaxing before it was time to board the plane.
I arrived at the airport and went through the check-in process. After that, I proceeded to the boarding gate and waited for my flight. When it was time to board, I noticed that the plane was extremely crowded. It took some effort to find my seat, but eventually, I managed to settle in. I knew it would be a long journey ahead, so I tried to make myself as comfortable as possible.
I arrived at the airport excited for my flight, but unfortunately, it got cancelled due to mechanical issues. I was disappointed but understood that safety comes first. I had to wait in a long line to rebook my flight, and it took quite some time. Finally, the airline provided accommodation for the night at a nearby hotel. Although it was inconvenient, I appreciated their effort to take care of the passengers.
I arrived at the airport and went to the designated area to retrieve my luggage, but to my surprise, my bag was missing. I immediately approached the airport staff and explained the situation. They asked me to fill out a report with the details of my missing luggage. The staff assured me that they would work diligently to locate my bag and have it delivered to my hotel as soon as possible. Although I was concerned about my belongings, I appreciated their assurance and hoped to receive my luggage soon.
When I arrived at the airport, I went through the security check and then headed to the baggage claim area. After collecting my luggage, I walked out of the airport and looked for a taxi to take me to my hotel. The taxi ride was smooth and the driver was friendly. When I arrived at the hotel, I checked in at the front desk and received my room key. The hotel staff were helpful and welcoming. Later in the evening, I wanted to have dinner at a local restaurant. I approached the hotel staff and asked for their recommendations. They provided me with a list of nearby options. I chose one from the list and made my way there. The restaurant had a cozy ambiance and the food was delicious. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was pleasant, and I had a satisfying dinner at a local restaurant.
I checked out of the hotel and asked the front desk staff to arrange a taxi for me to go to the airport. They quickly organized it for me. The taxi arrived on time and I got into the car with my luggage. The driver was friendly and helped me load my bags into the trunk. We drove to the airport smoothly and reached there without any delays. I paid the fare to the driver and thanked him for the ride.
Recently, I found a great deal for a hotel room on a booking website. I was really happy with the price, so I booked the room right away. I received a confirmation email with all the details. When I arrived at the hotel, I showed the receptionist my confirmation email. They checked their system and confirmed that my reservation was there. They didn't have any issues with the rate I had booked and honored it without any problems. I was relieved and grateful for their smooth and hassle-free service.
I arrived at the airport and realized that I had forgotten my ID at home. I was worried because I knew that I needed it to board the plane. I approached the airline staff and explained the situation to them. They were understanding and asked me if I had any other forms of identification. Luckily, I had my passport with me. After checking my passport and asking me a few questions, they allowed me to board the plane. I was relieved that they were able to accommodate me despite my mistake.
I arrived at the airport and went to the hotel desk to check in. I had made a reservation at the hotel, but when I arrived, they told me that they didn't have a room available for me because they had overbooked. They were very apologetic and explained the situation to me. They arranged for me to stay at a nearby hotel instead. I was thankful that they found a solution and apologized for the inconvenience.
I had a connecting flight, but unfortunately, my first flight got delayed. As soon as I landed at the airport, I realized that I had very little time to make it to the gate for my next flight. I quickly gathered my belongings and rushed through the airport. I followed the signs and asked for help from the airport staff to find the correct gate. Thankfully, I managed to reach the gate just in time before they closed it. It was a relief to finally board the plane and continue my journey.
I arrived at the airport early, but the check-in process was slow. I waited in line for a long time, and it made me worried about missing my flight. Finally, I got my boarding pass and rushed to the security check. I had to take off my shoes and put my belongings in a tray to go through the scanner. After that, I quickly put everything back on and ran to the gate. It was a bit stressful, but I made it just in time before the gate closed.
When I arrived at the airport, I went through the security check. It was a very thorough process. I followed all the instructions given by the security personnel. They asked me to remove my jacket, shoes, and belt before walking through the metal detector. My bags were also screened using an X-ray machine. The security check went smoothly, and I didn't encounter any problems.
I arrived at the airport for my flight, but I was told that it had been cancelled because of bad weather. The airline staff apologized for the inconvenience and explained that they would provide me with accommodation for the night. They gave me a voucher for a nearby hotel and arranged for transportation to take me there. The hotel room was comfortable and the staff were friendly. The next day, I went back to the airport and the airline had already rebooked my flight for the same destination.
When I arrived at the airport, I had to wait for a long time to receive my luggage. It was a bit frustrating because I was tired from the flight and just wanted to get to the hotel. Eventually, my bags came out on the conveyor belt and I was relieved. I grabbed my bags and made my way to the hotel. I was looking forward to some rest and relaxation after the long journey.
I arrived at the airport and went to the check-in counter. I presented my passport and flight confirmation to the staff. They checked my documents and gave me my boarding pass. I proceeded through security and boarded the plane. After a smooth flight, I arrived at my destination. At the hotel, I went to the front desk to check in. However, they couldn't find my reservation in their system. I showed them my confirmation email on my phone to prove that I had booked a room. They apologized for the inconvenience and quickly found a room for me. I thanked them and went up to my room.
During my stay at the hotel, I decided to order room service for dinner. I called the hotel's room service number and placed my order. The person on the phone was polite and took down my order accurately. After a short wait, the food arrived at my room. It was delivered promptly by a friendly staff member. The food looked appetizing and smelled delicious. I was pleased to see that the presentation of the food was neat and the portion size was generous. I tried each dish and found them to be flavorful and tasty. The flavors were well balanced, and the ingredients seemed fresh. I enjoyed my meal and felt satisfied with the quality of the food. Overall, my experience with ordering room service at the hotel was positive.
I arrived at the airport early and had plenty of time to relax in the lounge before my flight. The lounge was comfortable and had a nice atmosphere. I found a seat near the window and enjoyed watching the airplanes take off and land. The lounge had free Wi-Fi, so I was able to browse the internet and check my emails. When it was time for my flight, I boarded the plane on time.
I arrived at the airport excited to catch my flight. However, there was a delay due to a technical issue with the airplane. I remained patient and the airline staff provided regular updates on the situation. After some time, the issue was resolved and we finally boarded the plane. Despite the delay, I appreciated the airline's efforts to keep us informed.
I arrived at the airport and found my way to the baggage claim area. I quickly located my luggage and picked it up. After that, I went outside and waved down a taxi to take me to the hotel. The taxi driver was friendly and took me directly to the hotel without any problems. It was a smooth and straightforward journey, and I reached the hotel without any issues.
I arrived at the hotel and was greeted by the staff, who were very welcoming. They checked me in and provided me with all the necessary information for my stay. The staff gave me my room key and explained how to access the elevator and find my room. They also informed me about the hotel's amenities, such as the pool and restaurant. The staff was friendly and offered to assist me with any additional needs or questions I may have. I felt comfortable and well informed about my stay at the hotel.
During my recent trip, I made a reservation at a hotel, but unfortunately, there was a mix-up. When I arrived at the hotel, the receptionist apologized for the inconvenience and explained that they had mistakenly given my room to another guest. To make up for the mistake, the hotel offered me an upgraded room. I appreciated their gesture of goodwill and accepted the offer. The new room was spacious and comfortable, with a beautiful view of the city. Overall, even though there was an initial mix-up, the hotel made up for it by providing me with a better room.
During my trip, I went to the airport to catch my flight. Once I arrived, I checked in at the counter and went through the security checkpoint. After that, I waited at the gate until my flight was announced. When it was time to board, I showed my ticket to the flight attendant and found my seat. The flight went smoothly and I arrived at my destination safely. At the hotel, I went to the reception desk to check in. The receptionist gave me the key to my room and provided me with some information about the hotel facilities. Later on, I asked the receptionist for recommendations on local restaurants. They suggested a few options and I decided to try one of them for dinner.
I arrived at the airport with plenty of time before my flight. I checked in without any issues and was able to go through security quickly. Once inside, I had some time to spare, so I decided to explore the duty-free shops. I walked around and looked at the different products available, such as cosmetics, alcohol, and souvenirs. There were a lot of options to choose from. I didn't end up buying anything, but it was interesting to see all the different items for sale. After browsing the shops, it was time for me to board the plane.
I arrived at the airport and proceeded to the security check. The process was efficient and organized. I followed the instructions given by the staff and had no issues getting through. I placed my belongings in the bins provided and walked through the metal detector without any problems. The security personnel were friendly and professional. After the security check, I collected my belongings and continued towards the boarding gate.
I arrived at the airport to catch my connecting flight, only to find out that it was delayed. Because of the delay, I missed my connecting flight. Feeling worried and unsure of what to do, I immediately went to the customer service desk for assistance. The staff at the customer service desk were very helpful and understanding. They rebooked me on the next available flight, which put my mind at ease. I was grateful for their assistance and relieved that I would still be able to reach my destination.
I arrived at the airport for my trip, but unfortunately, my luggage did not arrive with me. I was a bit worried about it, but I quickly went to the baggage claim area and spoke to the airline staff. They were very understanding and helpful. They asked me to fill out a report regarding my missing luggage. The airline assured me that they would locate and deliver my luggage to my hotel. Although it was an inconvenience, I felt relieved knowing that the airline was taking care of the situation.
I checked out of the hotel and went to the front desk to inquire about transportation options to the airport. The hotel staff was very helpful and arranged a shuttle for me. I packed my luggage and waited for the shuttle to arrive. Once it arrived, I got on board and we started our journey to the airport. The shuttle ride was comfortable and the driver was friendly. We reached the airport in good time and I thanked the driver for the ride. I collected my luggage and headed towards the check-in counter to begin the process of boarding my flight.
I arrived at the airport and went to check in my luggage. Unfortunately, when I arrived at my destination, my luggage was nowhere to be found. I immediately went to the airport's lost and found department and explained the situation. They asked me to fill out a report with details about my luggage and gave me a reference number. They assured me that they would do their best to locate my luggage and informed me that they would contact me once they had any updates. Despite the inconvenience, I felt relieved knowing that I had taken the necessary steps to try and recover my lost luggage.
I arrived at the airport and decided to take a taxi to my hotel. After picking up my luggage, I went outside and found a taxi waiting. I got in and told the driver the name of my hotel. The driver nodded and started driving. The ride was smooth and I enjoyed looking out the window at the city. When we arrived at the hotel, I paid the fare and thanked the driver for the ride. He smiled and wished me a pleasant stay. I grabbed my luggage and walked into the hotel, excited to begin my trip.
I arrived at the airport and got off the plane. I followed the signs to the immigration area and waited in line to have my passport checked. After that, I went to the baggage claim area to collect my suitcase. Once I had my luggage, I proceeded to the taxi stand and took a taxi to the hotel. At the hotel, I went to the front desk and checked in. The receptionist gave me my room key and provided me with information about the hotel facilities. I took the elevator to my room and used the key to unlock the door. Inside, I unpacked my belongings and settled in.
During my stay at the hotel, I decided to visit the gym for a workout. I went down to the gym area and found various exercise equipment available. I started my routine by using the treadmill for some cardio exercises. After that, I moved on to the weightlifting machines to work on my strength training. The gym was well equipped, and I could easily adjust the settings on the machines according to my preferences. As I continued my workout, I began to feel my heart rate increasing and started to sweat. It was a satisfying feeling knowing that I was pushing my body and getting a good workout. After I finished my workout, I wiped down the equipment with the provided disinfectant wipes and made my way back to my room. Overall, the hotel gym provided a convenient and effective space for me to get my exercise in during my stay.
I took a taxi from my hotel to a nearby tourist attraction. The taxi driver was polite and drove safely. When I arrived at the site, I explored the area and took some pictures of the beautiful surroundings. The tourist attraction was crowded with other visitors, but I still managed to find a quiet spot to enjoy the scenery. After spending some time there, I decided to head back to my hotel. Overall, it was a pleasant experience visiting the tourist attraction and capturing some memorable moments.
During my stay at the hotel, I decided to take advantage of the amenities, so I went for a swim in the hotel pool. The water was so refreshing and cool, it felt great on a hot day. I enjoyed floating on my back and feeling weightless in the water. The pool area was clean and well maintained, with plenty of lounge chairs. After my swim, I decided to relax under the sun. I found a comfortable spot, spread out my towel, and lay down. The warmth of the sun on my skin was so soothing, and I closed my eyes, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. It was a perfect way to unwind and recharge.
During my stay at the hotel, I requested extra towels from the housekeeping department. I needed them because I wanted to have enough towels for my whole family. I called the front desk and asked for the towels. They informed me that the housekeeping department would bring them to my room. After a short wait, there was a knock on my door. It was a housekeeping staff member delivering the towels. They smiled and handed me the towels, assuring me that they were freshly washed. I thanked them and they left. I was happy with the prompt service and the cleanliness of the towels.
I checked out of the hotel and settled the bill. I went to the front desk and handed over my room key. The staff member asked me if everything was okay with my stay. I told them that everything was great and thanked them for their service. They handed me a receipt and I made the payment. They wished me a pleasant day and I left the hotel.
I had a flight delay at the airport. I arrived at the airport and checked in for my flight. After going through security, I went to the gate and waited for boarding. However, there was an announcement that our flight was delayed due to bad weather. I patiently waited at the gate for updates on the departure time. The airport staff kept us informed about the delay and apologized for the inconvenience. Finally, after a few hours, there was another announcement that the departure time had been rescheduled. I followed the instructions and boarded the plane. Despite the delay, I remained calm and understanding throughout the situation.
I arrived at the airport for my connecting flight only to find out that there was a delay. As a result, I missed my original flight. I went to the airline's counter and explained the situation, and they were able to reschedule me for the next available flight. I had to wait at the airport for a few hours until the new flight departure time. Eventually, I boarded the plane and continued my journey to my destination.
I recently visited the duty-free shops at the airport. I was looking for souvenirs and gifts for my friends. I found a variety of items such as keychains, magnets, and T-shirts. The prices were reasonable and there was a wide selection to choose from. I purchased some keychains with the airport logo for my friends as a reminder of my trip. I also bought magnets with iconic landmarks of the city. The staff at the shops were friendly and helpful in guiding me through the different options. After walking around and exploring the shops, I was satisfied with my purchases and excited to share them with my friends.
I recently had a pleasant conversation with a fellow traveler at the airport. We exchanged travel experiences and tips. It was interesting to hear about the different places he had visited and the adventures he had encountered. He shared some valuable advice on booking flights and finding affordable accommodations. We discussed our favorite destinations and recommended must-visit attractions. It was a great way to pass the time while waiting for our flights. Overall, it was a delightful conversation that made the airport experience more enjoyable.
I was at the airport getting ready to board my flight when I suddenly realized that I had left my passport at the hotel. I was really worried because I knew I wouldn't be able to travel without it. I quickly went to the nearest information desk and explained my situation. They told me to go back to the hotel and retrieve my passport as soon as possible. I rushed back to the hotel and luckily it was still there. I thanked the hotel staff for keeping it safe and headed straight back to the airport. I made it just in time for my flight and felt relieved that I didn't miss it because of my forgetfulness.
During my trip, I encountered an issue with the air conditioning in my hotel room. It wasn't working properly, so I decided to inform the front desk about the problem. I approached them and explained the situation calmly. They were very attentive and understanding. They immediately sent someone to my room to investigate and fix the issue. The maintenance staff arrived promptly and efficiently repaired the air conditioning unit. I was relieved that the problem was resolved so quickly. The hotel staff demonstrated great professionalism and ensured that my stay was comfortable. Overall, I was satisfied with the prompt response and resolution to the air conditioning problem in my hotel room.
During my trip, I decided to take a guided city tour organized by the hotel. The tour was informative and gave me a chance to learn about the history and culture of the city. The tour guide provided interesting facts and shared anecdotes about different landmarks we passed by. We visited historical sites, such as ancient temples and museums, where we learned about the city's rich heritage. It was fascinating to see the architecture and hear stories about the people who lived there in the past. The guide also pointed out significant cultural aspects, like traditional festivals and customs. Overall, the tour was a great way to immerse myself in the local culture and gain a deeper understanding of the city's history.
I went to the airport post office to send a postcard. I bought a postcard and wrote a message on it. Then, I put it in an envelope and sealed it. I went to the counter and asked the staff to weigh the envelope. They told me the weight and how much it would cost to mail it. I paid the fee and received a receipt. I dropped the envelope into the mailbox and hoped it would reach its destination.
During my stay at the hotel, I needed to wash some clothes, so I decided to use the hotel's laundry service. I gathered all my dirty clothes and brought them to the laundry room. There, I dropped off my clothes and filled out a form with my room number and the services I needed. The staff was friendly and helpful. They assured me that my clothes would be ready by the next day. The following day, I went back to the laundry room to pick up my clothes. To my delight, they were all cleaned and neatly folded. I was satisfied with the hotel's laundry service and appreciated the convenience they provided.
During my stay at the hotel, I noticed a leak in the bathroom of my room. I immediately informed the hotel staff about the issue. They were very responsive and took immediate action to fix the leak. The staff efficiently repaired the problem, ensuring that there was no further water leakage. I was grateful for their prompt assistance in resolving the issue.
During my stay at the hotel, I needed a late checkout, so I went to the front desk to make the request. I explained my situation politely, and the staff member was very friendly and helpful. They checked the availability and informed me that they could accommodate my request without any extra charges. I felt relieved and grateful for their flexibility. On the day of checkout, I packed my belongings and left the room a bit later than the normal checkout time. The hotel staff was so understanding and didn't rush me at all. They even offered to store my luggage until I was ready to leave. Overall, I had a great experience with the hotel's customer service and their willingness to accommodate my needs.
During my recent trip, I encountered some inconvenience at the hotel. Unfortunately, I had a noisy neighbor staying in the room next to mine, and their loud activities disrupted my sleep. Determined to find a solution, I decided to call the front desk to express my concern. Thankfully, the hotel staff promptly addressed the issue and took appropriate action to ensure a peaceful atmosphere for all guests. I appreciated their attentiveness and their efforts in handling the situation promptly.
I had a smooth landing at the airport. After the airplane landed, I gathered my belongings from the overhead compartment and made my way to the exit. I followed the signs to the arrival hall, where there were many people waiting to greet their loved ones. The airport was busy with people rushing to catch their flights. I walked past the luggage carousel, where passengers were waiting for their bags to arrive. I didn't have any checked-in luggage, so I proceeded towards the customs area. There were several lines for passport control, but they moved quickly. I handed my passport and arrival card to the immigration officer, who quickly stamped my passport and welcomed me to the country. After clearing customs, I proceeded to the exit and was greeted by a driver holding a sign with my name on it. He helped me with my bags and escorted me to the hotel.
I arrived at the airport and checked into my hotel. After settling into my room, I realized that I had lost my hotel room key. I immediately went down to the front desk and informed them about the situation. The staff was very understanding and provided me with a replacement keycard. I thanked them and returned to my room, relieved that I could now access my room again.
During my trip, I booked a tour package at the hotel. The next day, I joined a guided tour and visited popular attractions in the city. The tour guide was informative, providing interesting facts about each location. We visited famous landmarks, such as museums and historical sites. The tour was well organized, allowing us enough time to explore each attraction. The bus was comfortable and clean, providing a pleasant travel experience. Overall, the guided tour was a great way to explore the city and learn about its cultural heritage.
I arrived at the airport and realized that I forgot to bring a travel adapter for my electronic devices. I went to the airport gift shop and bought a travel adapter. It was a bit expensive, but I needed it for my trip. I was relieved that I could now charge my phone and laptop while traveling. Later, I checked into my hotel. The hotel staff were friendly and gave me a room key. The room was clean and spacious. I unpacked my belongings and settled in for the night. I felt comfortable and ready to enjoy my trip.
I recently went on a trip and decided to stay at a hotel. When I arrived at the hotel, I asked the staff if it would be possible to have a non-smoking room. The staff was very helpful and assured me that they would accommodate my request. They assigned me a room on a non-smoking floor and made sure that there was no smoke odor in the room. I was grateful for their assistance and pleased with the outcome.
During my trip, I had a layover at the airport. While waiting for my connecting flight, I decided to explore the airport shops. I was pleasantly surprised to find a variety of unique souvenirs that I could take home. I browsed through different stores and came across items such as keychains, magnets, postcards, and miniature models of famous landmarks. The shops offered a range of options for different interests and tastes. After carefully selecting a few souvenirs, I made my purchase and continued my journey.
During my recent trip, I found myself in need of printing some important documents. Luckily, the hotel I was staying at had a convenient business center. I approached the staff for assistance, and they were more than willing to help me out. They guided me through the printing process and made sure everything went smoothly. Thanks to their support, I was able to complete my task without any issues.
I arrived at the airport and went to the immigration area. I showed my passport to the immigration officer and answered a few questions about the purpose of my visit and how long I would be staying. After that, I collected my luggage and proceeded to the hotel. At the hotel reception, I checked in by showing my passport and providing some personal information. The staff gave me a room key and directed me to my room. The room was clean and comfortable with all the necessary amenities.
During my recent trip, I had the opportunity to enjoy the complimentary breakfast buffet at the hotel where I was staying. The breakfast spread was impressive, with a wide variety of dishes to choose from. I started my day by filling my plate with scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, and freshly baked pastries. There were also healthy options like yogurt, fresh fruits, and granola. I couldn't resist trying some of the local specialties, such as the delicious cheese and ham croissants. The buffet also offered a selection of cereals, bread, and jams. I paired my meal with a steaming cup of coffee and some refreshing orange juice. It was the perfect way to kickstart my day, and I left the breakfast area feeling satisfied and energized for the adventures that awaited me.
I arrived at the airport late at night. It was very quiet and there were not many people around. I hired a taxi to take me to the hotel. The taxi driver was friendly and helped me with my luggage. We drove through the city and I could see all the buildings and lights. It was a smooth ride and I felt safe. We finally arrived at the hotel and the taxi driver helped me with my bags again. I checked in at the reception and the staff was very welcoming. They gave me my room key and directed me to the elevator. I went up to my room and it was clean and comfortable. I was tired from the journey, so I quickly settled in and went to sleep. Overall, it was a successful and hassle-free experience getting from the airport to the hotel.
During my vacation, I went to the hotel reception to check the weather forecast for the day. I wanted to make sure I dressed appropriately for the activities planned. The receptionist kindly provided me with the information I needed. After considering the forecast, I decided to wear comfortable clothes and bring a jacket, as there was a chance of rain later in the day. With this knowledge, I felt prepared and ready to enjoy the day ahead.
I arrived at the hotel and checked in. The receptionist was friendly and gave me my room key. I went up to my room and dropped off my luggage before heading to the restaurant nearby. I had made a reservation for dinner earlier, so I didn't have to wait long. The staff seated me at a cozy table and handed me a menu. I ordered a delicious meal and enjoyed every bite. The restaurant had a nice ambiance and the service was prompt. After finishing my meal, I paid the bill and left the restaurant feeling satisfied. I walked back to the hotel and ended my day, looking forward to the rest of my stay.
During my trip, I arrived at the airport and headed to the hotel. At the airport, I went through security and checked in my luggage. I followed the signs to find the taxi stand outside the terminal. I hailed a taxi and gave them the address of the hotel. Once I arrived at the hotel, I went to the reception desk to check in. The hotel staff was friendly and welcoming. They gave me a key card to access my room and provided me with information about the hotel's amenities. Later on, I had a conversation with one of the hotel staff members. They were very helpful and told me about the popular local attractions and recommended some places to visit. They also gave me directions on how to get there and advised me on the best time to go. I found their recommendations very useful and made a note of the information. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was smooth and pleasant.
I recently had an experience at the airport customs where I had to wait for a long time. I followed the instructions given by the staff and patiently went through the entire process. The wait was tedious, but I managed to stay calm and composed. I presented my documents to the customs officers and answered their questions accurately. After what felt like an eternity, my turn finally came and I was able to pass through customs without any issues. Although it was a tiring experience, I was relieved to have completed the necessary procedures and continue on with my journey.
I arrived at the airport and went to the flight departure board. I looked at the board and found my flight number. I saw that my gate number was displayed next to it. I checked my boarding pass to make sure it matched the gate number on the board. After confirming that everything was correct, I walked towards the boarding area.
I arrived at the airport and was looking for a way to get to my hotel. Fortunately, I found a convenient shuttle service right outside the airport. I hopped on the shuttle and it took me directly to my hotel. It was a great option because it saved me a lot of time and money on transportation. I'm really glad I found this service.
During my trip, I stayed at a hotel with an amazing view of the city. I was thrilled to see the breathtaking scenery right from my room. I couldn't resist the urge to capture the beauty, so I took some photos. It was a delightful experience to witness the city's charm from such a perfect vantage point. The photographs will serve as a precious memory of this enchanting view.
I arrived at the airport and rented a car. The process was quick and easy. I drove around the city, taking in the sights and exploring at my own pace. The city had beautiful landmarks and attractions. I visited some nearby attractions as well, enjoying the freedom of having my own transportation. It was a great way to see the city and take in the local culture. Overall, it was a positive experience and I enjoyed the flexibility of having a car.
During my recent trip, I went to the airport to catch my flight. I arrived early and went through security before finding my gate. I waited patiently until my flight was announced and then boarded the plane. The flight was smooth and the attendants were friendly. After landing, I collected my luggage and made my way to the hotel. I checked in at the front desk and was given a room key. The room was clean and comfortable, and I settled in for my stay. The next day, I decided to explore the city and went to the hotel's concierge for recommendations. The concierge was very helpful and suggested some popular sightseeing spots as well as good restaurants for dining. I took their suggestions and had a great day exploring the city and trying out some delicious local food. Overall, my experience at the airport and hotel was enjoyable and stress-free.